Hi, I'm Greg Restall. Welcome to this first lesson in Logic, Language and Information 1. In the lessons in this first section, I'm going to introduce you to propositions, the building blocks of logic. To start at the beginning, we can ask the question, what is logic? What do you study when you study logic? Now, there are plenty of different answers to this question. It's good reasoning, it's about thinking clearly, it's about valid arguments or proofs or models, and we're going to get into all of these topics in this course. But my answer to this question here is simple. Logic is all about propositions and the relationships between them. These are relationships like consistency. Can these two propositions be true at the same time? Or consequence. Does one proposition follow from other propositions? And equivalence. Do these two propositions say the same thing? These ideas are important not only when it comes to reasoning well, thinking clearly, proving things, interpreting things, the core business of logic as it's been understood for centuries. These notions are also really important when it comes to applying logic in other areas like philosophy, linguistics, computer science, and engineering. So let's first dig into the notion of a proposition. What sort of thing can enter into these relationships of consistency, consequence, or equivalence? Now, propositions are the individual bite-sized units of information. They're the kinds of things that you can express in a sentence, but not every sentence expresses a proposition. A handy rule to help you see which sentences express propositions is to ask, does this sentence make some statement about how things are? For example, we have students from all over the world. That does, and it describes you. Now, it doesn't have to be a straightforward agreed matter of fact to express a proposition. A statement like, there's no difference between the mind and the brain, describes how some philosophers of mind take the world to be, that minds are brains, nothing more, nothing less. Now, not everybody agrees, and this is a hotly contested issue in the philosophy of mind. The fact that it is a contested issue tells us that it is a proposition. It's the kind of thing that you could argue about, use as a premise or a conclusion in reasoning. It describes things are, or how they aren't. Now, there are mathematical propositions like 3 plus 5 is less than 4 plus 3. This one's actually a false proposition. And there are many other sorts of propositions besides these, and you'll see a lot in the course. But not all sentences express propositions. The sentence, please don't watch these lectures while driving a car, doesn't make a statement, it makes a request. Or, what's the capital of Ethiopia? Asks a question. It doesn't describe the world, it asks the person who's answering it to describe the world. Or, thank goodness, the poor cat. That's an exclamation, not a description. And finally, hi Jen, that expresses a greeting. That should be enough to give you an idea of the difference between sentences that express propositions and those that don't. Now, here are some guidelines for distinguishing sentences that do express propositions and those that don't. A proposition is the kind of thing that you could believe or disbelieve, or agree or disagree with, or assert or deny, or give a reason for or against, or use as a reason for or against something else. And it's the kind of thing that in English or in another natural language you express with a declarative sentence. So that's the difference. We'll be looking at propositions and the relationships between them in this subject. Now let's see how you're doing with this exercise. Take a look at these sentences and think about what they say, and answer this question. Which of these sentences express propositions? Enter your result and see how you go. Now, how did you go? If you've got questions or comments, or if you'd like to explore these issues further, take a look at the course notes for this section and head into the discussion board to follow things up. I'll take a look and see how we're going. In the next lesson, we'll see how we can combine propositions to make new propositions, and we'll introduce the idea of a propositional connective. So I'll see you there.